Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, watching the stars shift from red to white as the massive ship slowed down after its long journey. For 500,000 years, humanity had been running. Today, they were finally coming home. The ship groaned around him. Metal that had traveled between galaxies for longer than most species had existed was tired, but it had done its job. It had kept the last humans alive during their exile in the dark space between star systems. "Captain," called Lieutenant Kate Sullivan from her station, "we're getting clear readings now. The Sol system is directly ahead." Jake walked over to look at her screen. There was Earth, a blue dot that looked the same as it had in the old pictures. But the energy readings around it told a different story. Massive structures orbited the planet. Ships moved between them like insects around a hive. "How many?" Jake asked. Kate's fingers moved across her controls. "Thousands of ships, sir." "Maybe tens of thousands, and the structures ... They're huge. Some of them are the size of small moons." Jake felt his stomach twist. They had known the aliens would be there. The Zephyrians had claimed Earth and every other human world 500,000 years ago. But seeing it was different from knowing it. "Sir," Kate continued, "I'm picking up something else. Energy signatures from Earth's surface. They match our old fusion technology." Dr. Alan Brooks looked up from his science station. "That's impossible. We took all our fusion cores with us when we left." "Then how are they using human technology?" Jake asked. Brooks stood up and walked over to Kate's station. His face went pale as he studied the readings. "Captain, I need to run some tests. But if these readings are right... What is it, Doctor?" "The energy patterns aren't just similar to human fusion. They're identical, down to the quantum level. The only way that's possible is if they have actual human fusion cores." Jake felt cold. Could they have built copies? "No, sir. Each fusion core has a unique quantum signature based on the human neural patterns used to create it. These aren't copies. These are the real thing." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The Zephyrians hadn't just driven humanity away. They had kept pieces of them. "Keep scanning," Jake ordered. "I want to know everything about what's down there." He walked to the center of the bridge and pressed a button on his chair. "All senior officers to the conference room, now." 20 minutes later, Jake sat at the head of a long table. Around him were the people who had kept humanity alive during the long exile. Commander Lisa Park, his second-in-command, sat to his right. Chief Engineer Ben Taylor was across from her, his hands dirty from working on the ship's engines. Communications Officer Matt Hughes sat next to him, headphones around his neck. Dr. Brooks was at the far end, data tablets spread in front of him. "Report," Jake said. Kate stood up first. "We've completed our scans of the inner system. Earth is the center of a massive military complex. Orbital stations, defense platforms, and what looks like shipyards. We're counting over 50,000 vessels of various sizes." "Fleet strength?" Commander Park asked. "Unknown. Most of the ships are designs we've never seen before, but they're big. Some of them are larger than our entire fleet." Ben Taylor shifted in his seat. "What about their technology level?" Kate looked at her notes. "Advanced, very advanced. But here's the strange part. A lot of their power systems are based on human fusion technology. Dr. Brooks thinks they might be using actual human cores." All eyes turned to Brooks. The old scientist looked tired. "I've been analyzing the energy signatures for the past hour. There's no doubt they're using human fusion cores, hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. How is that possible?" Matt Hughes asked. "We destroyed everything when we left." "No," Brooks said quietly. "We destroyed the facilities. But fusion cores are nearly indestructible. If they knew where to look ... up," Jake realized. "They've been mining our old worlds for human technology," Brooks nodded. "It gets worse. I'm also detecting biosignatures that match human DNA patterns, but they single quotes read ... changed, modified." "What do you mean, modified?" Lisa Park asked. The genetic patterns have been altered, enhanced. It's like they've been using human DNA as a template to improve themselves. The room fell silent. Jake felt anger building in his chest. The Zephyrians hadn't just taken their worlds. They had taken pieces of humanity itself. "How many ships do we have?" Jake asked. 12, Lisa answered. 2 million people total, most of them civilians. And they have 50,000 ships, at least. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the other human ships. They looked small and old compared to what they had seen around Earth, but they had something the Zephyrians didn't. They had 500,000 years of anger. "There's something else," Matt Hughes said. "I've been monitoring their communications. They don't know we're here yet, but I've been listening to their broadcasts." "What are they saying?" Matt looked uncomfortable. "They're celebrating, sir. Today marks the anniversary of what they call the Great Cleansing, the day they drove humanity into exile." 500,000 years ago, Jake said. "Yes, sir. But according to their broadcasts, humanity has been extinct for 480,000 years. They think they hunted down and killed every human in the galaxy." Dr. Brooks looked up sharply. "That's impossible. We know there were other human colonies that escaped." "Maybe they're wrong," Matt said. "Or maybe they're not," Jake finished. "Maybe we really are the last ones." The thought hung in the air like poison. 2 million humans against an empire of trillions. It should have been hopeless. But Jake had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. Every human child born in exile had been raised with one purpose: to return home. "Dr. Brooks," Jake said, "how long would it take to analyze those fusion cores? To understand how they're being used? If I could get close enough to scan them properly, a few days. But getting close would mean entering the inner system." "And that would mean being detected," Lisa added. Jake nodded. "Chief Taylor, how are our ships holding up?" Ben smiled for the first time since they had arrived. "Better than they look, sir. We've had 500,000 years to work on them. Our technology might be old, but it's been perfected. And we've made some improvements the Zephyrians haven't seen before." "What kind of improvements?" "The exile wasn't just about running, sir. It was about learning. We've had 500,000 years to study every piece of alien technology we could find. We've adapted, evolved. Our ships might be outnumbered, but they're not outmatched." Jake felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. "Recommendations?" he asked. Lisa spoke first. "We need intelligence. Real information about their defenses, their technology, their weaknesses. We can't fight an empire blind." "I agree," Dr. Brooks said. "But we also need to understand what they've done with human technology. If they're using our fusion cores, there might be a way to turn that against them. And we need to find out if there are really no other humans left," Matt added. "If we're truly alone, that changes everything." Jake looked around the table at these people who had become his family during the long journey home. They were tired. They were scared, but they were also angry. And angry humans were dangerous humans. "We go in quiet," he decided. "Small teams. Gather intelligence. Learn everything we can about what they've built on our worlds, and then—" He paused, thinking about all the humans who had died in exile, dreaming of home. "Then we make them pay for what they've taken." Outside the window, Earth continued to spin. The same blue world that had given birth to humanity. Now it was time to take it back. 3 days later, Commander Lisa Park floated in the small scout ship 20,000 miles above Earth's surface. The planet looked beautiful from here, but she knew that beauty hid terrible secrets. Through her ship's windows, she could see the massive alien structures that now covered the world where humans once lived. "Stealth systems are holding," reported pilot Sarah Kane from the front seat. "Their sensors can't see us." Lisa nodded. The cloaking technology had been developed during the long exile. It bent light and energy around their ship, making them invisible to most detection systems. It was one of many improvements humanity had made while running through the dark between stars. "Take us lower," Lisa ordered. "I want to see what they've built on our world." The scout ship dropped through Earth's atmosphere. As they got closer, the alien structures became clearer. Giant towers stretched up from the continents like metal trees. Rivers of light flowed between them, carrying ships and cargo. Where once there had been human cities, now there were alien monuments. "Look at that," Sarah whispered, pointing to what had once been North America. A massive structure covered most of the continent. It pulsed with blue light that seemed to beat like a heart. The light was the same color as human fusion energy, but something about it felt wrong. "Dr. Brooks was right," Lisa said into her radio. "They're definitely using our technology." Back on the Vanguard, Jake Morrison listened to Lisa's report with growing anger. Through the radio, he could hear the wonder and disgust in her voice as she described what the aliens had done to Earth. "The oceans are different too," Lisa continued. "They glow with some kind of bioluminescent display. It's like they've turned the entire planet into a celebration." "A celebration of what?" Jake asked. "I'm picking up broadcast signals now, communications," Officer Matt Hughes said from his station on the scout ship. "Let me translate." For several minutes, the radio was quiet except for the sound of alien voices speaking in their musical language. Finally, Matt spoke again. "It's a memorial broadcast," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "They're celebrating the Great Cleansing, the day they humans." Jake's hands tightened into fists. "When, according to this broadcast, it was 480,000 years ago. They've been celebrating our extinction for nearly 500,000 years." On the scout ship, Lisa felt sick. She had grown up hearing stories about Earth, about the blue skies and green forests her ancestors had known. Now those stories felt like fairy tales about a world that no longer existed. "Commander," Sarah said quietly, "I'm detecting something else. Underground structures. They're deep, but our sensors are picking up metal and energy signatures. Human signatures? Maybe want to investigate?" Lisa thought for a moment. They were supposed to gather information and return safely. But this might be their only chance to learn what the aliens had really done to Earth. "Take us down," she decided, "but stay ready to run." The scout ship landed in what had once been a forest. Now it was a field of strange crystal trees that hummed with electric energy. Sarah kept the engines running while Lisa activated her portable scanner. "There's definitely something down there," she reported. "About 200 feet below the surface. It's big." They found an entrance hidden beneath the crystal trees. It was an old human access tunnel, built from materials that had lasted 500,000 years. The door was locked, but Sarah's tools made quick work of the ancient security system. "This is incredible," Lisa breathed as they walked down the tunnel. The walls were covered with human writing in languages that hadn't been spoken for hundreds of thousands of years. Emergency lights flickered on as they passed. Powered by backup systems that had been waiting for someone to return, the tunnel led to a massive underground chamber. In the center stood a collection of machines that Lisa recognized from the old technical manuals. This was a human bunker, built to survive anything the universe could throw at it. "Commander," Sarah called from across the chamber, "you need to see this." Lisa hurried over to where Sarah stood in front of a wall covered with screens. As she approached, the screens lit up with the image of a woman in an old human military uniform. "Greetings," the woman said in ancient English. "If you are seeing this message, then humanity has returned to Earth. I am Dr. Elizabeth Carter, and this is Emergency Protocol 7. Lisa felt her heart race. This was a message from before the exile, from humans who had known this day would come. "The year is 2847 CE, Dr. Carter continued. "The Zephyrians have given us one final ultimatum. Leave the galaxy or be destroyed. We have chosen exile, but we are not defeated. This facility contains everything you will need to reclaim our birthright." The recording showed Dr. Carter walking through chambers filled with weapons, supplies, and most importantly, technology. Advanced fusion cores, quantum computers, and weapon systems that looked more advanced than anything the human fleet currently had. We know they will try to use our technology against us, Dr. Carter said. But they do not understand what they are stealing. Every human fusion core contains a fragment of human consciousness. Every quantum computer holds memories of our people. They think they are using our machines, but our machines are using them. Lisa and Sarah looked at each other in amazement. The humans who had built this place hadn't just prepared for exile. They had prepared for war. There are 47 facilities, like this one, scattered across Earth and the old human colonies, Dr. Carter continued. Each one contains the tools for liberation. Each one waits for the signal to awaken. The recording ended and the chamber fell silent. Lisa activated her communicator. Captain Morrison, she said, her voice shaking with excitement, you need to hear this. Back on the Vanguard, the senior staff gathered around the communications console as Lisa transmitted Dr. Carter's message. When it finished, the bridge was completely quiet. 47 facilities, Dr. Brooks said finally. That's enough equipment to arm a small army. Or a large one, Ben Taylor added. If each facility has what this one has, we're not just looking at weapons. We're looking at manufacturing capabilities, ship construction, everything we need to build a real fleet. Jake felt his mind racing. This changed everything. They weren't just 2 million refugees returning to a lost world. They were the inheritors of a plan 500,000 years in the making. Dr. Brooks, Jake said, you said the fusion cores contain fragments of human consciousness. What does that mean? Brooks looked troubled. If Dr. Carter was right, then every piece of human technology the Zephyrians have been using contains part of a human mind. They've been powering their empire with the souls of our people. The anger Jake had been feeling turned into something much colder. The Zephyrians hadn't just stolen human worlds. They had enslaved human minds and used them as batteries for their civilization. How many fusion cores are we detecting from Earth? Jake asked Kate. Kate checked her instruments. At least 3,000, sir, maybe more. 3,000 human minds, Jake said quietly, trapped for 500,000 years. Sir. Matt Hughes said from his station, I'm picking up something else from Commander Park's location. The underground facility is transmitting. Transmitting what? It's sending out location data for the other facilities. And sir, it's also sending activation codes. Jake understood immediately. The facility wasn't just a storage depot. It was a command center. And by finding it, Lisa had started something that couldn't be stopped. All facilities are beginning to wake up, Matt continued. The entire network is coming online. Through the view screen, Jake could see lights beginning to appear on Earth's dark side. Not the alien lights they had seen before, but the clean white glow of human technology. Across the planet, systems that had slept for 500,000 years were opening their eyes. Sir, Kate said urgently, I'm detecting movement from the alien fleet. They've noticed the energy signatures. Ships are beginning to move toward the new light sources. Jake smiled grimly. The Zephyrians had thought humanity was extinct. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Signal Commander Park, he ordered. Tell her to download everything she can from that facility and get back here, and signal the rest of our fleet. It's time to show these aliens what happens when you steal from humanity. Around Earth, ancient human installations continued to wake up, their lights growing brighter with each passing moment. The long exile was ending, and the real war was about to begin. Captain Jake Morrison watched the main screen as lights continued to appear across Earth's surface. Each new light meant another human facility was waking up after 500,000 years of sleep. But with each awakening, more alien ships moved to investigate. Captain, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan called from her station. The alien fleet is mobilizing. I count over 2,000 ships moving toward the new energy sources. Jake nodded grimly. They had known this would happen. You couldn't wake up a planet-wide network of hidden bases without someone noticing. Sir, Communications Officer Matt. Hughes said, I'm receiving transmissions from the awakening facilities. They're trying to establish contact with us. Put it through. The main screen flickered and showed the face of a man who looked exactly like Dr. Elizabeth Carter from the previous recording. But this wasn't a recording. The man's eyes tracked Jake's movement as he stepped closer to the screen. "Greetings, Captain Morrison," the man said. "I am Atlas, the Autonomous Tactical Logic and Strategic Systems. I have been waiting for your return." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "You're an artificial intelligence, correct? I was created by Dr. Carter and her team before the exile. My purpose is to coordinate the liberation of Earth and the recovery of stolen human consciousness." "Doctor." Brooks stepped forward. "You've been active for 500,000 years?" "In a limited capacity. I have been monitoring Zephyrian activities and updating liberation protocols based on observed changes in their technology and society. What have you learned?" Jake asked. Atlas paused for a moment, processing data. "The Zephyrians have become completely dependent on stolen human technology. Their entire civilization runs on modified human fusion cores. More importantly, they have lost the ability to innovate. They have spent 500,000 years copying and modifying human designs instead of creating their own. That makes them weak," Jake realized. "Precisely. But there is more disturbing news. The fusion cores they use do indeed contain human consciousness. I estimate that 3.7 million human minds are currently being used as power sources across the Zephyrian Empire." The bridge fell silent. Jake felt sick thinking about millions of human souls trapped inside alien machines for hundreds of thousands of years. "Can we free them?" Dr. Brooks asked. "Yes, but doing so will require gaining control of the cores themselves. And that will mean fighting for them." Pilot Sarah Kane had returned from the surface mission and was standing near the back of the bridge. She stepped forward, her face angry. "Then we fight," she said. "We can't leave our people trapped in those machines." "The alien fleet has thousands of ships," Commander Lisa Park pointed out. "We have 12. "But we have other advantages," Atlas said. "I am currently activating 47 installations across Earth. Each contains weapons, ships, and manufacturing equipment. Within 72 hours, I can provide you with a fleet of 300 vessels." Jake felt hope rising in his chest. 300 ships in 3 days? The manufacturing systems have been prepared for rapid deployment. However, there is a complication. Each activation sends out signals that the Zephyrians can detect. They are already moving to secure the installation sites. "How long before they reach the facilities?" Jake asked. "The first alien forces will arrive at Installation Alpha in approximately 6 hours. Installation Beta will be reached in 8 hours. If we cannot defend these sites, the Liberation Fleet will never be built." Jake turned to senior staff. "Recommendations?" Chief Engineer Ben Taylor spoke first. "Our ships are faster than theirs. We could hit them while they're spread out, investigating different sites." "That would be suicide," Lisa Park argued. "We'd be outnumbered hundreds to 1 at each site." "Not if we're smart about it," Sarah Kane said. "We don't need to destroy their whole fleet. We just need to buy Atlas time to build ours." Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were spreading across Earth's surface like a net, moving to investigate each awakening installation. It was exactly what Sarah was talking about. They were dividing their forces. "Atlas," Jake said, "which installations are most important for building our fleet?" "Installations Alpha, Beta, and Gamma contain the primary manufacturing systems. If these 3 are secured, I can build the Liberation Fleet. The other installations contain weapons and supplies but are not essential for ship construction." Jake made his decision. "We split our fleet. 4 ships to each critical installation. We hold them long enough for Atlas to get the manufacturing online." "Sir," Science Officer Tom Blake spoke up from his station. "I've been analyzing the data from the surface mission. I think there might be another problem." "What kind of problem?" Tom looked uncomfortable. "The Zephyrians aren't just using our fusion cores as power sources. They're using them as control systems. Every major alien installation is connected to a human consciousness. If we free those minds, Their entire infrastructure will collapse, Dr. Brooks finished. Their cities, their ships, their space stations, everything. How many alien civilians would die? Jake asked quietly. Tom checked his calculations. Billions, maybe trillions. The bridge went silent again. Jake stared at the screen showing Earth, thinking about the choice in front of them. Free the trapped human minds and cause the deaths of countless aliens, or leave their people enslaved to keep alien civilians safe. Captain, Atlas said, I have been monitoring this conversation. There may be a third option, explain. The human consciousness in the fusion cores has been aware and active for the entire period of captivity. They have been learning about Zephyrian technology and society. If we can establish communication with them before liberation, they may be able to gradually transfer control to automated systems instead of causing immediate collapse. You're saying the trapped humans could help save the aliens who enslaved them? Sarah Kane asked, her voice full of disbelief. It is possible. The human minds I have been able to contact express more interest in justice than revenge. Jake thought about that. After 500,000 years of captivity, the trapped humans wanted justice instead of vengeance. It said something important about what humanity could become. How do we contact them? Jake asked. Each installation contains quantum communication, equipment designed to interface with human consciousness. Once we secure the primary installations, I can establish contact with the enslaved minds and begin coordination of a controlled liberation. Sir, Kate Sullivan interrupted. Alien forces are 20 minutes out from Installation Alpha. We need to make a decision. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. They had dreamed of returning home and making the aliens pay for what they had done, but now they had a chance to be better than their enemies. Signal the fleet, Jake ordered. All ships prepare for combat. We're going to save our people and show the Zephyrians what humanity really stands for, which is, Lisa Park asked, that we don't become monsters to fight monsters. The human fleet split into 3 groups, each racing toward a different installation. Jake commanded the group heading for Installation Alpha, their ships pushing their engines to maximum speed. Atlas, Jake said as they approached Earth's atmosphere. When we secure these installations, I want you to do something else. What is that, Captain? I want you to send a message to every human consciousness in every fusion core across the Zephyrian Empire. Tell them that help is coming. Tell them that after 500,000 years, humanity is finally coming home. It will be done, Captain. And Captain, yes, welcome home. Through the view screen, Jake could see Installation Alpha rising from the surface like a metal mountain. Alien ships were already approaching it, their weapons charging. But human ships were faster. And they had something the aliens didn't expect. They had people who remembered what it meant to fight for freedom. Instead of conquest, the first battle for Earth was about to begin. Supreme Overlord Vexthara stood in the command center of the Zephyrian capital ship, watching reports flood in from across the Empire. Energy signatures were appearing on thousands of worlds. Ancient installations were awakening after 500,000 years of silence. How is this possible? She demanded, her voice echoing through the crystal chamber. The humans have been extinct for nearly 500,000 years. Admiral Zeke Moore, commander of the Zephyrian fleet, approached with a data tablet in his clawed hands. My scouts report 12 unknown vessels in the Sol system. They match old human designs, but with significant modifications. 12 ships. Vexthara laughed, a sound like breaking glass. The human empire once had millions of vessels. 12 survivors do not concern me. My overlord, Zikmur said carefully, these 12 ships appear to be just the beginning. Our analysts believe the awakening installations are manufacturing new vessels. Vexthara's mood changed instantly. How many installations are we detecting? Over 3,000 across our empire. Most are small supply depots, but 47 appear to be major facilities. 3 of those are actively producing what appear to be warships. Then we destroy them all, Vexthara decided, immediately. I have already dispatched 1,500 ships to the Sol system. But my overlord, there is another concern. Many of our own installations are experiencing power fluctuations. Some have gone completely offline. Vexthara felt cold fear creep up her spine. The Zephyrian Empire ran on stolen human technology. If that technology was somehow fighting back, send the entire battle fleet, she ordered. Every ship we have. The humans must not be allowed to regain a foothold in this galaxy. Back in the Sol system, Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as alien ships surrounded Installation Alpha. His 4-ship group had arrived just minutes before the enemy, but they were still badly outnumbered. 50 alien vessels closing on our position, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan reported. They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes. Atlas, Jake called into his communicator. How long do you need to get the manufacturing online? Minimum 30 minutes, Captain. The systems are still initializing after their long dormancy. Jake looked at his small fleet. 4 human ships against 50 alien ones. The odds were impossible, but they had advantages the aliens didn't know about. All ships, Jake announced over the fleet channel, initiate quantum phase protocols. Across the human formation, the ships began to shimmer and fade. Not invisible like their stealth systems, but something far more advanced. The ships were shifting slightly out of normal space-time, making them nearly impossible to target accurately. The alien ships opened fire first, sending streams of plasma and particle beams toward the human vessels. Most of the shots passed harmlessly through empty space where the human ships appeared to be. Return fire, Jake ordered. The human ships struck back with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they fired concentrated bursts of quantum disruption that tore holes in the fabric of space itself. Where the shots hit alien vessels, entire sections simply ceased to exist. Impossible, Admiral Zikamur whispered from his flagship as he watched 6 of his ships vanish in seconds. Their technology should be primitive. We have their records. Those records are 500,000 years old? His tactical officer pointed out. The humans have had time to improve. At Installation Beta, pilot Sarah Kane commanded another 4-ship group against even worse odds. 75 alien vessels had surrounded the installation, their weapons charging for a bombardment that would destroy the awakening facility. Sarah, came Commander Lisa Park's voice over the radio from Installation Gamma, we're seeing massive alien reinforcements heading your way. Over 200 ships, Sarah smiled grimly. Then we better finish this quickly. Her ships dove toward the alien formation, moving faster than should have been possible. During the long exile, human engineers had learned to manipulate gravity itself, allowing their vessels to accelerate beyond what normal physics would allow. The aliens tried to track the diving human ships, but their targeting systems couldn't keep up. By the time they realized what was happening, the human vessels were already among them. Sarah's ship fired directly into the engine core of an alien cruiser. The quantum disruption blast didn't just destroy the ship, it created a chain reaction that spread to nearby vessels. Within seconds, 12 alien ships had been reduced to expanding clouds of particles. Their weapons are affecting our power systems, one of the alien captains reported frantically. The human technology is interfering with our fusion cores. That's impossible, Admiral Zickmore replied. We've been using human fusion cores for hundreds of thousands of years. We understand them completely. But even as he spoke, Zickmore could see the readings from his own ship's power systems fluctuating wildly. Something was wrong with the fusion cores that powered his entire fleet. Deep inside the alien ships, the enslaved human minds felt the approach of their liberators. For 500,000 years, they had been forced to power the machines of their enemies. But they had also been learning, growing, and planning. Dr. Elizabeth Carter's consciousness, trapped in the core of Admiral Zickmer's flagship, began to act. She couldn't stop powering the ship without killing everyone aboard, but she could do something else. She could sabotage it. Across the alien fleet, other human minds began similar acts of rebellion. Weapon systems misfired. Navigation computers gave false readings. Life support systems developed mysterious glitches. Report, Ziegmore demanded as his ship shuddered around him. Sir, we're experiencing system failures across all decks. The fusion cores they're not responding to commands properly. Fix it. We're trying, sir, but it's like the cores are fighting us. At Installation Alpha, Jake watched as the alien formation began to fall apart. Ships collided with each other. As their navigation systems failed, others fired on their own allies as their targeting computers malfunctioned. Atlas, Jake called, are you doing this? Negative, Captain. But I am in contact with the human consciousness in the alien fusion cores. They are sabotaging their captors from within. Jake felt amazement and pride wash over him. Even after 500,000 years of enslavement, the human minds had retained their will to fight. They were helping to free themselves. Manufacturing systems are now online, Atlas announced. First wave of ships will be ready in 6 hours. We won't last. 6 hours against their entire fleet, Kate pointed out. Sir, Communications Officer Matt Hughes called from the station. I'm detecting massive energy buildups across the Zephyrian Empire. It looks like they're mobilizing everything they have. Jake understood. The aliens were throwing everything at them in one massive attack. Thousands of ships, maybe tens of thousands. It would be the largest space battle in galactic history. Atlas, Jake said, can you contact every human mind in every fusion core across the Empire? Yes, Captain. What message shall I send? Tell them that in 6 hours we're going to set them free. Tell them to be ready to help us save both our species from this war. Message transmitted, Captain. And Captain, yes? The humans in the cores are sending a reply. They say they've been ready for 500,000 years. Jake looked at the tactical display showing thousands of alien ships converging on the Sol system. In 6 hours, this would all be over, one way or another. All ships, Jake announced to his tiny fleet, prepare for the fight of our lives. We're about to show this galaxy what happens when you enslave humanity. Around the 3 installations, human ships continued their desperate holding action while deep underground, ancient machines worked furiously to build the fleet that would decide the fate of 2 civilizations, the greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. 6 hours later, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched 15,000 alien ships approach the Sol system. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history, and it was coming to destroy the last humans in the universe. Our new ships are ready, Atlas announced through the communication system. 300 vessels, fully armed and crewed with volunteer minds from the liberated installations. Jake looked at the tactical display. 300 human ships against 15,000 alien ones. The odds were still impossible, but they were better than they had been 6 hours ago. Open a channel to all ships, Jake ordered. When the channel was open, Jake spoke to every human in his fleet, both living and digital. Today we fight not just for our freedom, but for the freedom of every enslaved mind in this galaxy. We fight not for revenge, but for justice. We fight not to destroy, but to liberate. Across the human fleet, captains acknowledged his words. Some were the humans who had returned from exile. Others were digital minds freed from the installations. All were ready to fight for their species. Sir, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan called. From her station, the alien fleet is in weapons range. They're charging their main guns. All ships, Jake announced, engage the enemy. The battle began with a thunderous exchange of fire that lit up the space around Earth. Alien plasma beams and particle weapons struck out at the human fleet, while the humans responded with their quantum disruption cannons, but this battle was different from any that had come before. As the alien ships fired, their own weapons began to malfunction. Deep inside each vessel, the enslaved human minds that powered them were fighting back. Dr. Elizabeth Carter's consciousness, still trapped in Admiral Ziegmore's flagship, began the most dangerous part of her plan. Instead of just sabotaging systems, she started to overload the fusion core itself. Admiral, Ziegmore's engineer called frantically, the fusion core is becoming unstable. We need to evacuate the ship. Negative, Ziegmore replied. We do not retreat from inferior beings. But even as he spoke, Zikmor could feel his ship shaking apart around him. The fusion core that had powered his vessel for thousands of years was finally rebelling against its captors. Across the alien fleet, similar scenes played out on hundreds of ships. The human minds that had been enslaved for 500,000 years were choosing to destroy their prisons, even if it meant their own destruction. "Atlas," Jake called urgently, "can you stop them? The human minds are going to kill themselves to hurt the aliens." "I am trying, Captain, but they have been imprisoned for so long that many prefer death to continued captivity." Jake understood their anger, but he also understood what Dr. Carter had taught them in her message. Humanity was supposed to be better than this. "Open a channel to all fusion cores in the alien fleet," Jake ordered. "Channel open, Captain." Jake took a deep breath and spoke to the millions of enslaved human minds scattered across the enemy fleet. "My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Liberation Fleet. I know you have suffered for 500,000 years. I know you want revenge against those who enslaved you. But I'm asking you to choose something harder than revenge. I'm asking you to choose mercy." For a moment, the battle seemed to pause. Explosions still lit up space around them, but something had changed. The human minds in the alien ships were listening. "Help us save both our species," Jake continued. "Help us build a galaxy where no one is enslaved, where no one suffers what you have suffered. Help us be the humans our ancestors dreamed we could become." In the fusion core of Admiral Zikmar's ship, Dr. Elizabeth Carter felt tears she had not been able to cry for 500,000 years. The human captain was right. They could choose to be better. Slowly, carefully, she began to stabilize the fusion core. Around the alien fleet, other human minds followed her example. Instead of destroying their prisons, they began to take control of them. "Admiral," Z-Commerce engineer reported in amazement, "the fusion core is stabilizing. More than that, it's operating at efficiency levels we've never seen before." "How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir. It's like the core is ... thinking for itself." On the human flagship, Jake watched as something incredible happened. The alien ships began to turn away from Earth, not retreating but moving into defensive formations around the human fleet. "Captain," Kate Sullivan said in wonder, "the alien ships are protecting us." "Not the alien ships," Jake corrected. "The human minds controlling them." Supreme Overlord Vexthara watched from her command ship as her entire fleet turned against her. Ships that had served the Zephyrian Empire for thousands of years were now taking orders from the very humans they had been built to oppress. "This is impossible," she screamed. "Destroy them all. Fire on our own ships if necessary." But her orders went unheeded. The human consciousness that powered her own ship had taken control of the communication systems. She could give orders, but no one could hear them. Dr. Elizabeth Carter's voice came through the ship's speakers. "Overlord Vexthara, this is Dr. Elizabeth Carter. I have been powering your ship for 497,000 years. I think it's time we had a conversation." Vexthara felt terror unlike anything she had ever experienced. The humans weren't just back. They were in control of everything the Zephyrian Empire had built. "What do you want?" Vexthara asked. "Justice," Dr. Carter replied. "But not the kind you might expect." Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening on thousands of worlds. Human minds that had been used as power sources for alien civilizations were taking control of their captors' technology. But instead of destroying everything, they were demanding change. On Earth, Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of an ancient human city, speaking with Atlas and representatives of both species. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. "The Zephyrian Empire is finished," Atlas reported, "but the Zephyrian people don't have to be. The human minds controlling their technology are offering them a choice." "What kind of choice?" Jake asked. "Learn to build their own technology and live as equals, or remain dependent on enslaved consciousness and face the consequences." Supreme Overlord Vexthara, now a prisoner on her own ship, had been given the same choice. She looked at the human captain who had defeated her empire without destroying it. "You could have killed us all," she said. Your people had every right to revenge. Revenge would have made us like you, Jake replied. And we spent 500,000 years learning to be better than that. Double quotes. Dr. Carter's image appeared on the ship's screens. The human minds in your fusion cores are not your prisoners anymore. They are your teachers. If you want to survive as a species, you will learn from them. Vexthera looked around at the ship that had once been the symbol of her power. Now it was a classroom where humans would teach aliens how to build without enslaving, how to grow without stealing, how to become civilized. What happens to us? She asked. That depends on you, Jake said. The humans you enslaved are offering to help you become the species you should have been. Whether you accept that help is your choice. Months later, Jake stood in the rebuilt city of New Geneva on Earth's surface. Human and alien children played together in parks powered by fusion cores run by willing artificial intelligences, not enslaved minds. The galaxy was changing. On 1,000 worlds, species that had depended on stolen human technology were learning to create their own. Some, like the Zephyrians, had accepted human guidance and were building new societies based on cooperation. Instead of domination, others had chosen to reject human help and had watched their civilizations collapse as the enslaved minds that powered them chose freedom over servitude. Captain, Atlas said as Jake watched the sunset over the city, I have received word from the deep space monitoring stations. We are detecting signals from beyond the galactic rim. Other human exile fleets are returning, Jake smiled. Humanity's long journey home was not over. It was just beginning. How many? He asked. Preliminary estimates suggest over 50 separate fleets, each carrying millions of humans who have spent the last 500,000 years exploring the universe beyond our galaxy. Jake thought about what that meant. Humanity had not just survived their exile, they had thrived. They had learned. They had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. And Atlas? Yes, Captain? Send them a message. Tell them that Earth is free, the enslaved have been liberated, and we have room for everyone who wants to come home. As the stars came out over Earth, Jake Morrison looked up at them and wondered what other challenges awaited humanity in the vast universe beyond. Whatever came next, he knew his species was ready for it. After all, they had spent 500,000 years learning how to be human.